Hey, good morning. This is the 8 a.m. Coffee Podcast. I'm Asher, and as always, we have Mr. Paul Moody. How's it going?
And oh man, I'm doing great today. And joining us today is Jonathan Darling.
What's going on,
Um,
fellas?
Dude, I love me some Jonathan Darling. I'm just letting you know that. I am so excited he is here. I am, however, because of the corona, very excited that he will not hug me and I will not rub his head today. But other than that, that's a little head rub for you. All right, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No, I'm pumped to be here with you guys. It's been fun watching you guys the last few mornings, and yeah, man, pumped to be a part of it.
It's
You,
Monday, by the way. Like, how do y'all feel? It's not like a normal Monday, but how do y'all normally feel on Monday morning?
Well, I totally was going to make a roast yesterday just to remind me it was Sunday, and well, that never happened. Um, so I think we're gonna make it today. Otherwise, it's like one of those use it or lose it situations.
Mm.
I'm actually very curious for the people that have hoarded things and gone and stockpiled their refrigerators that do not own freezers. If they are like, hey, I'm just gonna make so much food so I don't lose it.
Asher, I'll actually answer your question. Um, I'm very excited. It's Monday. Uh, Mondays typically people get like really like, oh, I got a case of the Mondays, blah blah blah. If you've ever seen that old school movie that I just made a reference to,
Hmm.
um, but man, I love them. Like to me, it's kind of this. It's the start of a new week. It's a chance to kind of get going again and get back in a rhythm and a routine. And I don't know, like not to steal off of Gary Vee, but a lot of people live for the weekends, and I definitely enjoy my weekends.
Hmm.
But man, I really enjoy like the start of a week. Like I just feel like I'm ready to go, like horses at the gate. Yeah, I love them.
Nice, nice. I'm kind of feeling that way this week, just because last week I started online lessons, and that was a big old learning curve for me because I had never done it before. And then this week I just feel a lot better about it. It's going to be smooth.
I feel like I should say, ooh, I love Mondays as well, because both of you have said that. However, Monday is usually
Peer
my
pressure.
day off.
Oh, gotcha.
Usually it's my day off. So, like, usually today is the day that I do nothing, which is one of the reasons I don't look forward to it.
Mm.
I'm built a lot like, um, at least Jonathan. I know that, and you as well. Like, I like to occupy myself,
Yeah,
doing things. The birds are chirping in the
I
background.
love it.
Because basically, I don't know if either of you are built this way, but if I don't have something planned to do, I find something to do and maybe not be the most constructive in other people's opinions, but my opinion definitely. There's nothing wrong with buying a short bus and turning it into a tiny home. Don't do that. So,
Wait, is this a recent project of yours?
no, it happened like 6 years
Oh,
ago,
okay.
but I just know that that is a bad decision
Okay.
while
It's
being married.
before he was married. It was before
Yeah, it was
before
BA,
being married.
BA. It
Yeah,
was BA, BA. It's actually PC too. It was pre-Jesus. So,
yeah.
but anyways, Mr. Darling has started this thing yesterday, or not yesterday, but last year, which I attended and in some way have tried to be involved this year. Oh, yeah, good morning. Yeah, oh, mine will be here in a minute too. Um,
Oh, it's the door on your way out.
um,
Sorry.
Jonathan's kids are great also in the public eye.
You're good,
So
by the way. 8 a.m. coffee is like real life.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, there is no
it
faking.
happens.
Um, I love that she came and said hi to you. Like, mine are slightly afraid of me in the morning. So, but he started this conference. I know it was an idea that you kind of threw around in your head, and then all of a sudden it just kind of snowballed. Um, you know, I, I think I know the story, but why don't you tell me how all of that came to be?
Sure. Yeah, it's actually it starts a little bit before last year. Probably about 4 or 5 years ago, I became uber passionate about leadership. And it was from not having some great leadership experience, not having some great leaders. And awesome. let's let's do it. And so uh, from there, I started cold calling and reaching out to speakers on LinkedIn who are from the local Knoxville community. And I went out and found sponsors and a place to do it. One of our sponsors being Lanai Food Truck, by the way. And yeah, never heard of them. And so, yeah, so then in October, we launched the very first ever Impact Knoxville, and we had room for about 75 people. There ended up being 90 in attendance. We had people trying to buy tickets at the door. I think for the first time event, it went off incredibly well, and we were able to donate over $2,000 to the local chapter of A21 in their fight against human sex trafficking. And it was just it was more than what I ever thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I had no expectation. Even the night before, I was terrified that no one was going to show up. And so, yeah, it was really cool. And afterwards I had someone ask, well, what's next? What are you doing now? And so from there, we're now planning for 2020's event in October, and we have a board of directors and lots of people who are involved. And we're going from a 75-person venue to a 400-person venue.
Very cool.
So, yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just agreeing. Not. I didn't have anything to say.
Yeah. Wait, you didn't have anything to say?
I know that Darling over here says that I don't ever talk, but there are a lot of things that I don't tell you about. And don't let this man be too humble. I will talk him up like nobody's business. Because he my name actually means humble. My last name means Moody. I am neither of those things. But this man accomplishes so much that you don't even know about, that he doesn't even talk about, that he just kind of lets the second and third and fourth kind of impact, if you will, the residuals of what he does in his personal and professional life, because I know him in both of those, and just, man, I think the world of you. I mean this, and this is not like roasting you or trying to not build you up or anything else.
You didn't cook the roast yesterday, so you're doing the roast today, huh?
Long time to braise.
Yeah.
But, and I mean, and one of the most impressive things that has been, look, I said I didn't have anything to say, but obviously I'm sitting here talking like nobody, like, shut your mouth, Paul, is that you were so great at the first event. And I need this. It was so good. Everything was there. I think I was one of the first people to buy a ticket, actually.
You were?
And that was, and honestly, I was buying a ticket just to support a friend. Like I was like, hey, this is the first time I'm going in with zero expectations because, well, you know, I didn't know if they were going to jack it all up or what was going on. And I was blown away, like blown away. I got more out of a 4-hour conference than I have on weekend events. And that's seriously, like, it blew me away. They did so good at it. But the most impressive thing is they did not rest on that event. They didn't go, all right, well, that was fun.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, it was cool. We did this thing once. And then the secondary thing is, man, just your kid coming in and giving you a hug this morning. First of all, amazing. But what a story of not giving up. Like 14 times applying for a TEDx. He may not have gotten paid, by the way, but this man got paid for travel, which doesn't happen a lot either. So that's why I was saying, don't let him be too humble. Like,
oh, gotcha.
It's good. Like, if you hear the man talk, it's good. So anyways, well, I'm just going to talk you up. I have a question. That was just a statement. So
great. I do have a lot of questions though. And Jonathan, I was
go for it.
Messaging you last night because, like, when it comes to these kinds of leadership conferences, I'll admit I can be a little skeptical of like what really goes on there, because you mentioned Gary Vee earlier, and I'm a pretty big Gary Vee fan at this point, but there for like 2 or 3 years I would listen to him once in a while, and it just sounded like he was talking about nothing.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes he is, or he's just sort of recycling the same information. But like within that 4-hour time frame, like what goes on there, and like who is it for? Like, for the people listening, by the way, this is Jonathan Darling of Impact Knoxville. Like, who would that benefit? And of course, I don't want you to give the whole TEDx. I mean, I do, but
yeah,
maybe not this Monday morning. But
right, no, it's you know, I'll tell you what our mission statement is, because I believe when we were setting this up, I believed it was really important for us to have a vision that we were moving towards, and it's still kind of the foundation of what we do. So Impact Knoxville exists to inspire and engage leaders of every age, position, and profession to make a massive impact in their teams, companies, and communities. You know, really what this focus was for me is, you know, for a long time, Asher, I was told I would never be a leader. I wasn't a leader. I didn't know what that meant. And I had this idea that leadership was positional or authoritative, or a status or a title. And it's none of those things. My definition of leadership is, it is your ability to love and care for others, to be a positive influence of change in their life, and to be the catalyst of self-belief. And so when we put together this conference, we wanted business people there. We wanted professionals there. We wanted people in management positions.
Yeah.
But then we also wanted that person who wanted to learn that they could be a leader regardless of their title or position, that they could be someone who makes a massive difference in someone else's life by choosing to be intentional. And so all of the talks and everything was built around positional leadership. One of the talks was around the imposter syndrome and how you convince yourself you just got lucky, or, you know, things just happen to you. And, you know, mine was on loving people, love and leadership, which is my big thing. And so it was for a little bit of everybody. We had all walks of life there. We had people who just wanted to come and support me. Honestly, we had people who were in positional leadership, stuff, and yeah, we wanted to make it for everybody.
Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, and as someone who has just recently stopped working a 9 to 5 kind of job last year, like I'm really interested in those kinds of things, and I'm trying to actually at the moment, well, before the whole Corona thing hit, like build a network of like home studio musicians who are teaching out of their homes. So it sounds like a cool thing for me to get into as well. What's the quick question? Is the website that I'm looking at, is that up to date? ImpactKnoxville.com?
It is not. So
Okay.
so we are actually we're actually in the process. One of our board directors works for his name's Scott Spade. He's an awesome guy. He works for and owns a company called 245 Tech.
Gotcha.
And he is a web developer, and so he is totally revamping our website, and we're actually changing some things with Impact Knoxville. We have actually incorporated a company by the name of Impact Leadership, and Impact Leadership I'm working with Dr. Jessica Belknap, who's a PhD in leadership and in nursing, and also Keith Galloway, who owns Keith Galloway Business Consulting, and he was a high school coach and teacher. We're actually putting together and building a course curriculum to start doing leadership trainings for individuals and managers and things like that. And so Impact Knoxville will be the nonprofit event that Impact Leadership kind of help host. And so that new website is being developed. All of our social stuff is up to date, but we're in the process of getting that revamped. And so you have something really tangible. I built that website myself, the old one.
Yeah.
And it served its purpose, but we're really trying to bring a really great professional look and really starting to try to offer the Knoxville community something really tangible.
Yeah.
So something better than Wix.
Yes.
So with the impact leadership thing, right? Obviously, with taking the word Knoxville out of it, you're trying to make it more regional, national, global than just East Tennessee, just Knoxville, Tennessee. How has all of this stuff going on with now everybody's doing video conferencing and everything else, how do you think that is going to positively affect all of the leadership courses that you have now?
Well, so I think it causes us to have to relook at our strategy, right? I think there's a book actually Faith Promise read not too long ago. I think it was last year, something like that. And I got a hold of it. It's called Bigger, Faster Leadership. And what it talks about is, wherever you are today, all the processes and procedures and all the things that got you there aren't necessarily going to get you to the next level, because the market changes, the world changes, people change, how they consume changes. And, what I think you're looking at now is people are being forced to adapt, and we have to be able to adapt to it. And typically a lot of leadership stuff is done in person, on site, in workshops and different things like that. So we're actually exploring how can we do live trainings via technology and Zoom or something like that. And I'm actually going to be looking at putting together, trying to get all of the speakers for Impact Knoxville together to do a crisis management live Zoom where people can call in and listen and watch. And all of us talk about how you manage through crisis, how you manage through change. And it's really just not forcing us, it's giving us the ability to really learn and adapt and bring leadership development in a whole new medium that most people really aren't doing it in at this point.
For somebody who's been to those conferences and someone who this almost feels more like one-on-one conversation. even if there's multiple people going on, than it would if it was I was in a large if I was in a room with a whole bunch of people. So to me it almost feels like individualized more than group setting, but still at the same time group setting, I know. But like it feels like you're more talking to me directly than you are scanning a room with the Zoom or the Skype or any of those things. Just so yeah. Just that's
Well, to your point, we want to be able to, I really believe in with Dr. Belknap and Keith Galloway and myself and, some of the other board members, we really believe in what we're talking about. We really believe in the underdog and that being that catalyst of self-belief to bring out those leadership qualities and those that most people would not have looked at as a leader, which is someone like myself. And I think that's a big part of it. It's not, man, this is our hearts, this is what we believe and what we're passionate about. And I think when you approach it from that way, we would do this even if we didn't make money at it. Like I've been doing this just because this is something that I believe I was put on this earth for, and I would do it for the rest of my life, still work my day job, writing and doing all this stuff regardless, because I believe it's so important. And I think that's where you get that one-on-one intentionality, even in the group setting, is because when it's genuine, Lou Sal says when true sincerity is felt when it comes from one heart to another. And I truly believe that makes a big difference. We're not up there just to present because we want to make money on it. We're up there because we actually want to change people's lives through leadership.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very cool. Drop
I get pumped up.
Drop the mic, I guess.
So Jonathan Darling, what are some hidden I'm going to change the course really quickly. Because impact is great and everything else. It's an amazing thing. We could go on probably for 3, 4, 5 hours about what's going on and all that stuff. Website, social media, we've got all the links. At least I believe Asher is putting all those links underneath.
Yeah, I put Facebook. Is there anything else that you want us to link on there?
Twitter's good.
Yeah, Twitter, IG. We're on all of it. If you go on LinkedIn, we're not on TikTok. No, we're not on. I've not bridged that medium yet.
Hey, if you do want to get on TikTok though, shoot some short videos. I know a guy who is basically TikTok famous who can help you just rise to the top. Yeah. I'm kind of riding his coattails at the moment as well.
We got 600 followers last night. So. Another 600. Yes.
That's like as many people as have ever followed me on any social media. And they dropped. Like I looked at my Instagram the other day and I was like, I remember this number being a little higher. So I think people are unfollowing me.
Yeah, we're at funny. I think we're at like 23.8 or something like that. So
that's dumb.
That's crazy.
Those numbers aren't real. Those are bots. TikTok bots or something.
Okay.
Anyway, you were saying.
All of his social media. Yeah. Oh, so let's tag all those things and then let's talk about Jonathan Darling, the person.
Okay.
The darling.
What are your hidden talents?
What are my hidden talents?
Yes, because I've heard you sing. I don't want to call it that.
Yeah.
Call that a talent.
Well, I actually used to sing quite a bit.
It's a joke. You sing much better than I do. So.
Yeah. I actually love to do that. One of my hidden talents most people don't know about is I went to Ball State University. What up? Chirp, chirp. Fiercest robin-like bird in nature, the cardinal. I paid my way through college. And one of the ways that I paid my way through college was on the weekends, I would work birthday parties.
Okay.
And yeah, I would dress up as a clown, and I know how to make balloon animals.
Are there pictures?
That was about to go away. I didn't know, by the way.
Yeah, no.
I paid my way through college on the weekends,
It's
I
just
did birthday parties, and I was like, this is a child show as well.
I was a dancer. No, I would do. I would dress up like Barney, Scooby Doo. I was a clown. Whatever the birthday party had asked for, that's what I would do. And yeah, I can face paint and I can make balloon animals.
That is this is the best thing I have learned about you
Can you make
so
one?
far.
Can you make one on the air this morning? Do you have the
I don't
proper
have-
equipment?
No, I don't have any of the balloons or anything. But at all of my kids, I've got 3 kids, and at pretty much every single one of their birthday parties, the request is, "Hey, Daddy, can you get balloons and stuff and make balloon animals for our birthday?"
Very nice. Do you
That's
have like a go-to animal?
So here's a little tip for you. So making balloon animals, there are certain ones that take forever, and especially when you're at a birthday party and you've got just a certain amount of time,
Fast, yeah.
you want to keep it really quick. So the easy ones are like a dog, a sword, a giraffe, which is just a dog with a longer neck.
Well,
A little,
alert.
a little mouse, a rabbit, a bunny rabbit. So those are typically the ones, you kind of stick to.
Yep.
And or an alligator, and so so you stick to those so you can get them done really, really quick.
Right. That's good. And then do you give the option like, hey, you get one of these 3 things? Do you ever have kids like coming
Yes.
up and they're like, I don't
Make me a
know.
bicycle, clown.
I would like an
Uh,
aardvark, please.
I love
I would have kids come up and ask for, some crazy things. I could do hats and stuff, but typically I would just be like, okay, like here's what you have to choose from, and I typically give them like 4 or 5. And if it was a lot of boys, like if it was a little boy's birthday party, they all wanted swords.
Yeah.
So but like it's funny that balloon making talent, not just for my kids, came in handy. I was in sales locally for a long time, and I sold to a lot of nursing homes and long-term care facilities. And so anytime I would go in to see the housekeeping staff for the supplies I was selling to the nursing homes, I would take in balloon animals and make them for the residents. And just a lot of the elderly people, like I had my friends at different nursing homes and stuff, some of the old men and women that I'd go in and see and sit with, and I would always take in my balloon animals and make the residents balloons. It was a blast.
That's awesome. Did they ever flirt with you?
Oh, for sure. I had Miss Catherine. She passed away probably 6 years ago. She was one of my favorites. I'd go down to her room every time I would walk in. This was a nursing home up in Johnson City. And I'd go down and I would have lots of customers I would need to go see, but I would always set aside like 2 hours for this one particular facility. And I'd go in and I'd sit with Miss Catherine and talk to her. And I met her entire family, like all of her kids and her grandkids, and she was just awesome. So yeah, that was my gal right there.
My gal. So that's kind of what you did to get through college, right?
Yes.
Did you enjoy the college experience otherwise? I'm always curious to hear this from other people because mine started really strong and then it took me 8 years to get my undergrad. So,
Oh, we're in the same boat, Asher.
perfect.
Um,
And
yeah,
Paul, I don't
so-
know about your experience with college at all. I don't think.
I took an extra half a semester to go 3.5 years so I could squeeze in another football season.
There you go.
I mean, I was one of them smart kids.
Working it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to college for 7 years, and I'm not a doctor. I was a exercise science major, and college was. It's funny, Asher. College was never something that I wanted to do. Like I went there because that's what like all of my friends were doing,
Gotcha.
and so I was like, okay, like I'll go to college too, I guess. And so I did. I paid for a lot of college. I did not work very hard. And I actually just started going back to school online to get my MBA.
Nice.
And I just finished my first 2 weeks of my online MBA program. And I was telling somebody, I was like, man, college is a lot harder when you can't copy your work off of other people. So it's a little bit more challenging now that I actually have to do the work myself.
For sure. Or just being able to like collaborate, because I went to school for music. Like I did drum set and did the jazz program at UT, and like that's something you really can't do. Maybe you can't do it online now. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just it's different. I'll say this: I truly value education, whatever that education looks like.
Yeah.
I don't, if my girls were to tell me that they didn't, and my son, if they didn't want to go to college, I don't know necessarily that I would force them, because I don't think that I was in the right place to go and get out of it what I should have. But it was I enjoyed college a lot.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
Same.
It just wasn't very productive from a schooling standpoint
absolutely.
for me.
Yeah, I think I had a very similar experience then. And I do kind of wish I could go back. Like, I feel like I would be such a better student now and maybe just take like 2 classes at a time, so it's not just overloading, but
I'm pumped. I've got a 4.0 after 2 weeks.
Heck yeah.
And I've never I've been getting 100% on quizzes and homework, and I'm like, I've never gotten 100%. I think even when I went to high school, I don't think they started me out at a 4.0. Like I don't think I've ever gotten straight A's ever in my life. And so like right now I'm just like, oh,
yeah,
gotcha.
Yeah. So to keep it a little personal with Mr. Darling, which is who we're interviewing, by the way. This is 8 a.m. coffee. I keep forgetting that like people are tuning in and tuning back out, so we need to kind of check back in. But this is Jonathan Darling from Impact Knoxville, and with this whole Corona thing going on, what have you been doing the most around the house, and what's been entertaining you, and how have you been staying occupied? I know what Paul's been doing. Paul has many children and a food truck right behind him and a wife, so
he's been cooking his Corona quarantine
and slicing my thumb.
Yeah, I was watching that one live, and I was like, "What the heck did he just do?"
Yeah.
I don't, man. It's been really cool. Last weekend, the family and I, we took off to like Boone, North Carolina, and went and stayed in a cabin for the weekend. And I'm a big trail runner. I run trail ultramarathons and different things. And oh yeah, it's dumb. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
No shade.
We should talk about his first run. His first
oh gosh, run. It was so bad. But so I love being out in the woods and being out on the trail and different things. So a week ago, we went hiking together as a family for the first time.
Nice.
And we enjoyed it so much that like Saturday, this past weekend, we went to Frozen Head State Park and went hiking and took our 2 puppies. And I'm going today to buy fishing poles so that us as a family, we can go fishing. And so I'm doing a lot of things. We're doing a lot of things that typically we wouldn't do. And I think it's funny, man. I was having this conversation last night, Asher, and I think it's really important. There's a lot of fear and uncertainty and hysteria around this whole coronavirus thing. Mm-hmm. But I am enjoying so much the forced slowdown that it's allowing me to, I've never not traveled in my life for the last 5 years. So like this is the most I've been home ever in the last 5 years. And the ability to slow down and reconnect with my family, and for us to do things that we've not done that we're finding we really enjoy to do. Mm-hmm. It's a real blessing for me, man. Like I think it's a real positive thing. I've actually, not that I've enjoyed the coronavirus because that would sound horrible, but I've enjoyed what it has allowed for me and my family, to reconnect. And like Saturday night, our cul-de-sac, everybody was sitting in their driveways. We put a fire pit out and my neighbor was playing music, and we've just been reconnecting, man. And the things we thought were important just aren't that important right now. Yeah. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah. Were you social distancing around the fire? Was it a pretty big fire?
Oh yeah. We were all like 6 feet away from each other. Like we measured off, like it was hilarious. It was so great though. Like we were all, having a few beers and sitting around and people playing music. It was great.
Yeah.
I think my wife's going to have a virtual girls' night. Like they're going to sit around on Zoom and whatever they do.
Yeah,
I don't know what they do.
That's really cool.
Drink tea.
Something I've been trying to get together with, at this point, any Knoxville musician. I've texted so many people over the past week to just send me a video of you playing a guitar and singing through a song. I'll do a video where I'm doing some percussion with it and kind of compile this and just have something fun for people to watch and listen to. And nobody will take me up on it. I think it's me. I think people, they don't like me anymore.
Well, you have trolled them all for the last 5 years.
And that's true. This is definitely my fault.
I think that's I've seen you troll Micah on
It's the
social
best
media and
No.
stuff.
Not Micah.
It's the greatest thing I think I've ever read. Just it's so great.
I'm going to call him out
Oh,
on here.
I love it.
Have you seen his new? He's got a new podcast out, by the way.
It's really good. I actually texted him about that, and I said he's really found his voice. I think Micah for a while, and I would say this to him, has been searching for a way for him to like really share his stories and like share his voice. And man, I think with this podcast thing, I think he's really found it. Like it's actually really funny.
That's
By the
cool.
way, I really on a serious. I really do love Micah and his family and everything. So, I find Asher's troll of him hilarious.
Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, I'm glad I haven't been on the end of Asher's trolling. Maybe that's a new thing that'll start.
Maybe
I have.
maybe you have though.
Don't worry. Yeah.
Maybe I have.
Maybe you have and you didn't know.
I've
That's
been on
true.
the end of Jonathan Darling's trolling.
Nice,
So
nice.
No.
I actually did troll you a little bit last year, Jonathan, and we didn't know each other at all. I think I had just followed you on Instagram, and you all were about to have the conference. And the thing is, it was kind of a half and half because I had messaged you about like what is this thing and like can I be a part of it? I don't even remember like what our conversation was through Instagram, but Micah called me. Like I was driving to somewhere and he called me and he was like, "Hey, dude, like he doesn't know that you're joking around, like you need to quit doing this or whatever." And I was like, "But here's the thing. I'm at this point with trolling where I'm also being serious at the same time. Like I do want to know, I really wanted to know what Impact Knoxville was because I had just quit my old church job and I was like, would this be something where I can network with people and get some like leadership training?" And he just thought that I was being a total a-hole to you. And I was like, "Listen, man."
I remember that. I actually remember.
I don't remember what I said though, but I told him like, "Dude, it's both. Like I am both at all times." So
I actually think I remember getting a text message from Micah that said, "Hey, ignore Asher. He's not serious." So.
and I was.
But no, I mean, yeah, but I used to do the same thing, man. You know how on like Facebook you can see the like your memories, and I look back on some of the stuff that I used to post about like even like Peyton Manning being like an incredible regular season quarterback, but being one of the worst playoff quarterbacks I've ever seen. And I was so glad when he left and went to the Broncos, and just
he's
how
not better than his brother. He's not better than his brother.
I mean, there were just all things that I would post and say that I'm just like, oh my gosh, like it's so dumb, but I'm like, and at a certain point, you just believe, like you have to believe it because you've posted it so much that you have to defend it at that point. Like it's ridiculous, but
yeah. But just know that my aim in doing that is always friendship, and it's always to just connect and be like, "Hey, I was just joking around with you that one time."
Look, and here we are today.
And here we are today, exactly.
I had someone that thought I was trolling them, but it was about the food trucks and communities and things like that. They thought I was trolling them, and I was like, "Nah, dude, I was just asking questions, man." Like, I was like, "Hey, I was actually complimenting you." Like, yeah. But at least we solved it in private.
Yeah,
so.
Hey, Paul, does Asher know how you and I met?
You know, that has actually been on my mind. It is one of my favorite stories about you and I ever. But no, Asher does not know. Why don't you tell him?
Tell me.
Yeah. So I was, for the longest time, Starbucks in Turkey Creek was my office. I would go there. Yeah, I would go there almost every day. And, when I was in town. And so I went in there one day and I'm sitting there at the bar stools, area, and there's another guy sitting there. I believe this is the first time you and I met, Paul.
It is.
And so we're sitting there, and I had just had this really cool experience with a lady with a backpack, and that's a whole nother story. But so I'm sitting there, and I'm just in this really, I'm always watching. I believe in this thing called micro moments, massive impact, where you notice these small moments where you can actually make a huge impact in someone's life.
We're
and so I'm
part
sitting
of
there.
the TEDx talk right now, aren't we?
A little bit. And so
that's the thing
I'm
I would
sitting
have
there.
written down.
Yeah, and I'm watching this girl, and she's up at the counter, and she's buying all these coffees, and she has left her money either out in the car or somewhere. And so I'm starting to get up, and all of a sudden this burly teddy bear of a man jumps up in front of me and goes and pays for this woman's coffee. And I looked at him, and he comes back over and he sits back down, and I said, "Man, I was 2 seconds too slow. I was just about to do that." And he was like, "Oh, I beat you to it." And then all of a sudden he and I just start chit chatting. And then we find out that we go to church together. We know several of the same people. And then from that moment on, I think even though he and I had work we had to do, I think we talked for another hour just sitting there. And then we started talking about Gary Vee and podcasts. And, it was just and then every week we would go in there and I'd see him and we'd just sit by each other, and it was a really cool way to meet somebody.
We became office buddies.
Adorable.
Yeah.
It was an hour-long conversation of one of my 5-minute conversations, but those conversations.
Absolutely. I think we've had those. We had one of those at maybe Maple Street Biscuit Company one time, me and Paul, where I just kind of walked over and I was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" Paul had given us podcast money, kind of starter money, and we were advertising Lanai, and then we stopped the podcast after 4 more months. Sorry.
And then they gave me my money back.
And then we gave you the money back, of course.
Wasn't that with you and Lance and
Yes.
all of it except for $80?
Yeah, we spent $80 for
here you go,
SoundCloud hosting or something. But yeah, I just kind of walked over, and it was we ended up talking for 20 minutes.
I don't know. Somewhere.
It's easy to do. Easy to do.
Yeah.
So if you go back, I don't know if the old episodes are still on the podcast or not. They had probably one of the best. They describe people so spot on, it's not even funny. Those three did. And their description of me was, you can have a 5-minute conversation with him, pack in so much, and after you're done, he's like, "All right, bye," and he walks away, and you don't feel like you got left hanging at all. You accomplished everything you needed to. But I don't know. I as much as I talk, I end it when there's nothing else to talk about.
I just remember Asher, it was you, Logan, and Lance,
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And I remember asking Logan and Lance, because you guys would talk about sports, and I would ask several times, "Hey guys, I want to come on and be on your podcast. Can I come and be on your podcast and talk about nothing?" And I never got invited.
Oh man.
Guess who did?
And Lance is Lance and Logan are my boys. We would have poker nights together with them. Lance just came over to my house a week ago.
Whoa.
And I'm I couldn't even get it.
During the Corona, he came over?
2 weeks ago. He had just brewed some beer, and he brought some over for me.
Oh, cool. He didn't bring me any. What the heck?
That's what you get for not inviting me on your podcast.
I love me some Lance and Logan, Brianna, and all that. I love those guys.
Yeah, I did. I was snubbed.
Episode 15 is with special guest Paul Moody. So, yeah, I remember that. That was here in the studio before it was really a studio.
I think that I said the Knicks were going to make the playoffs, and Lance told me he'd eat a shoe if they did. Lance never ate a shoe. And just letting you know that. Lance never ate a shoe.
And I know plenty about sports, but really just enough to troll whatever they were talking about. Because if you listen to those early episodes, which I do not recommend, by the way, I would sit there for about 10 minutes and then be like, all right, are you all done talking about March Madness? Please, are you done?
So fun.
Oh, yeah. So your family's doing good. You're doing good. Impact's doing good. What have you been? I because food is such a big thing for me. What have you been cooking since you've been home? Are you like an at-home amateur chef? And the reason I say amateur is because you don't get paid to do it and have to do P&Ls and run service and put out 180 people doing 9 courses and making everything go spectacularly well
It's not
while
like,
managing an entire kitchen brigade.
it's not
But
like
anyways, for
insulting
those
or
of you who
anything,
call
right?
yourself a chef at home, that clearly don't get me started. I just triggered myself. Um, so, so what are you cooking at home during all this Corona?
Yeah. Well, so my wife and I, but like, so I one of my jobs in college was I was a cook. I was a prep cook, and then I worked at a fine dining restaurant, and I was kind of a jack of all trades in there. So I actually, there are parts of me that really enjoy cooking, and then there are other parts that I'm just so busy throughout the day I don't want to at all. And so my wife does a lot of the cooking, and we try to make things really easy. You know, we've got some picky kid eaters, but so here lately it's been a lot of like stuff on the grill, like grilled chicken, or we've been doing some crock pot stuff. We actually ordered some HelloFresh meals and cooked some of those this week, and just to kind of change it up a little bit. So, but then also like I'm going today to buy like a crap load of food from Brown Bag, some of their bulk steak and chicken and stuff, so that I can meal prep, because while everybody else is talking about the quarantine 15 that they're going to gain because they're eating all of their food, I'm actually going to start getting a little bit more disciplined on getting back in shape. So
his home gym though rivals actual gyms. So
it's true.
Like they have no garage space.
So yesterday, funny story about that. So I built a pretty nice gym in my garage, and still want to make it better and add a few things. But yesterday, I took 2 dumbbells out into my cul-de-sac, and then I've taken a big tire and I put an eye hook in it so that I could attach straps and different things to it. So yesterday I was out in my cul-de-sac, and for 30 minutes I was doing push-ups, I was doing dumbbell snatches, and then I was dragging a tire through my neighborhood. And so that's what I was doing, and all my neighbors were like coming outside, and they're like, dude, you're insane. And I'm like, yep.
Can you
Sure
do it
am.
like the apocalypse like gear one day with like the mask on and like the leather straps and
Get
like
some chaps on, and
yes.
Do a GoPro shot of like in front of you, and it's you just running like away from zombies, obviously.
Yeah, gas masks and everything. Yeah, no, it was great. Like even one of my neighbors comes out and he goes, man, you're making everyone else in the cul-de-sac like frustrated, right? Like because
Inspiring.
we don't want to work. And I said, look, man, conviction, not condemnation, man. I'm just trying to inspire you to get your butt out here. But no neighbor would join me. Every single neighbor I asked, I was like, come out here.
They have to stay 6 feet away from you, man.
It's okay. While I was dragging a tire, they could be doing other things.
They could be sitting on the tire.
Sitting on the tire.
It could be a fun ride for the kids.
My kids came out there. My daughter goes, Daddy, what are you doing? I was like, baby, I'm working out. She goes, out here? This is embarrassing. She's 8. She has no clue.
Yeah.
Yes, it gets, dude.
How much more embarrassing?
Middle school embarrassment is the best thing. I can give you some. It's awesome. Like, oh, sorry,
Paul. I do have a challenge for you. Speaking of like middle school embarrassment, my challenge to you is to do one of the dance challenges on TikTok.
You know what?
Please do it.
So I will do it. I'm going to make a video and then if I get X amount of what hold on. I got a rabbit go down here in a minute. But if I get X amount, I might put a video out that says, hey, if I get X amount of likes or whatever, I will do whatever dance there is, right? So for those of you who don't know, my mother is deaf, so I do a lot of sign language. But our oldest was asking, what's the sign for whoa? And I was like, well, it's WOAH, right? And she's like, oh, what? And apparently there's a dance move called the whoa, and this is the technical thing. It's whoa, and that's it. I mean, if I was a kid right now, I would have like the best dance moves ever because I don't know. I was in middle school from 1990 to 1993, like Kid and Play days, like all that. I'm like, you're standing and going side to side and flailing your arms is all you're doing. And like, I would have been okay. I would have actually danced at school dances at that point because I have zero rhythm. Like, nah, it's not. Yeah, it's true.
I've seen.
Why do you want me to do a TikTok dance? That's. Is it just so you can make fun of me?
Yeah, I think so. After thinking about it for an additional 5 seconds here, and having some radio dead space, it's definitely just that. Yeah.
But isn't that what you see? That's where I get confused, because isn't that what you do on TikTok? And like, to me, TikTok is like like 12 through 17-year-olds doing like, like.
The oldest will walk through like a store. Like there's like the guy that talks about their middle schooler in the store, like dancing and stuff. That's is reality. That is the 8th grader. Absolutely. And I'm like, you don't even have one, right? And a lady in the store was like, oh, she doesn't have TikTok, but she still all the dances. And she goes, yeah, but if I did, they don't know me at school. They know him at school. Like, I mean, I think I've talked about the walking into school and like 7th grade girl walking out going, oh, I know you, with her dad. And I'm like, no, you don't, homie. No, you don't. You have no idea who I am. Because
I was
as bad as I dance, I fight worse. So like,
well, that's what I was going to say about TikTok too, is like, Paul helped me with this. The algorithm is kind of set to like, here's this person dancing, here's this person dancing. If you skip through those really quick, and in my case, if you search for like guitar or drums or something, all I see now is like people playing instruments and like covering songs and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like I follow Gary Vee on there as well, and something about Gary Vee you said earlier is he always says the same thing. Well, that's all his messages. His message is like 6 different things, and that's it.
Yeah, just
he just says them over and over and over and over, and it's basically because people know the right thing to do. They just don't ever do it. Speaking of, this is why I am so big about being on TikTok, because it will be the next social media platform. Yeah. It's the number 1 downloaded form. I think they're at I think they're at like 2.2 billion downloads, 2.5 billion downloads, and only 1.5 billion. It had 500 million downloads up until January 1. And between January 1 and March 20, whatever, I think it was like 26 when the thing came out, it was 1.5 billion downloads. So, I mean, when you think about the world is only like 7.5 billion people. Like, I mean, this is the next social media platform.
Yeah.
Can I tell you something that's scary though? It's like, and I'm not I love the future. I love the idea of like new things coming out. Like, I don't believe social media is the downfall of like our youth. I think the downfall of our youth is bad parenting. That's another thing. But anyway, but what the scariest thing I've ever seen. So my family and I, we went to Corner 16 Grill, and we were down there, and we were kind of in this back room. Well, Grace School was having their cheerleading banquet in the outside area, and the next thing I know, none of the kids are talking to each other. They all have their phones set up, and they're doing TikTok dances. They're doing dances on TikTok, and they weren't they weren't really communicating or socializing with each other. They were all just doing. And I looked at my wife and I said, like, it was the scariest thing that I've ever seen, that here is this huge group of people together that want nothing to do with each other and are just worried about the dances that they're doing on TikTok. And I would like that for the first time ever. I was like, oh my gosh, like what? Like, are we really that starved for attention?
Yeah, but even backtrack, man. You said something about that, but they're getting, and I don't want to dive too much into a serious parenting conversation, but the number one selfie on Instagram is, a 37-year-old female. So when you're talking about that middle schooler on a dance or, on a cheerleading team doing that, the example is set by,
right,
honestly, and I'm not trying and not putting everybody into one place. Like, let's make sure that that's true. Right. But when you've got that going on, and I've even caught myself doing it. Like last night I did a Facebook Live of me searing a steak. That's all I did.
No words, right?
There was no words, no words. I just made dinner. Right. And, it's just like when your kid comes in or my kid makes a noise or Asher's dogs bark or anything like that. I think when you take the real life out of the situation, that's when it becomes fake. I don't have a problem with them running their phones the whole time. I have a problem with them not showing what real life looks like, because real life is ugly. And, there's some ugly parts of everyday life. And, speaking of, how are the dogs?
The dogs are great. You ask about the dogs every day. Okay. I've noticed.
I do.
They're still they're doing dog things. Actually,
they're doing Aussie stuff.
Just Aussie stuff. I'm gonna post a video today of me telling one of them how cute she is, and the other one getting distracted. It's pretty funny.
And I mean, but what has happened is it's just, it's those 1% of people that have production teams that have, the perfect setup and they look exactly like it is. I mean, we obviously have an 8th grade girl who has to go to a specific, which I've never understood underwear stores, but women have underwear stores, men have Walmart and Target. So, but it's true though. But Aerie, the company, they have a mirror, and on that mirror every day they put new Post-it notes on it talking about how pretty they are, like you're perfect, you're made exactly the way you are, because it's the art of comparison. And, it's just like anybody's ever said, from the start of social media, so MySpace or whatever was before that, to Facebook, to Instagram, to Snapchat. I don't even know if Snapchat's social or what it is, to now TikTok. The next evolution is always you're comparing yourself. You're comparing your ugly to somebody's highlight reel. And I think the more people that show real life and show what's really going on, then it will be a better platform to go on. I mean, like, perfect lighting. They've noticed that perfect lighting, like real Instagram stories, like where there's not the beautiful lighting setup, and as well as TikTok, as well as Facebook and everything like that, they're noticing they're getting more traction and more likes, more views, and all of that stuff, because you're like, man, that's how my life is.
That's more relatable. Really
that's not, I mean, like when my kids come through screaming like banshees while I'm on this thing, there's a lot of them.
Are you saying that you think that's going to start happening on TikTok more?
I want it. I don't know if it's going to start happening. I know that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I know that's what we do. I know that, basically I put out, I mean, like if you look at my bio, just basically on TikTok, let's see. And this is all for fun. It's about Disney, food, family, American Sign Language, and flirting with my wife. And that's legitimately all it is. Like, it really is. Like, I mean, like, I made an Oreo mini cup into Oreo ice cream with crushed Oreos. And It's probably one of my most commented video, except for the Jungle Cruise one, which is the one that went viral. But it's like, man, that's such a good idea. I'm gonna start doing that with my kids.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I saw that, because it was real life, and and it's just, I think we fall into, habits of not being transparent, which is my word of the year, is transparency. Where, hey, I'm gonna start a new hobby and I'm gonna suck at it. But you know what? I'm going to show you what it looks like every day till I get better. Like, it's kind of like you and I talk about me learning how to play guitar, basically because I have a guitar and I'm trying to sell it and nobody wants to buy it. So might as well play it. Right.
It's a sign for sure.
I want to show the beginnings of this, like how horrible I am at the very beginning all the way to the end. And I think that's important, as well as with podcast. Even your leadership conference, not saying it was bad, because it was great, right?
No, but there were learnings from it that are huge that people don't show. Like the first one, like our transitions were horrible, and like,
but
there's all types of stuff.
Let's look back at it 10 years from now. And when people are like, man, you guys are so put together. Oh yeah, let me show you where we started. Boom.
Yeah.
And for sure. That way it's more relatable. You can see what's going on, everything else. Just like with the cooking video. Like last night I made eggs. Like, who doesn't know how to make eggs? Well, to make them properly, a lot of people don't, right? But then for me to show you how you put a cold stick of butter in with 10 eggs in a saucepan and you just take it on and off the heat, it's very simple to do. And then you're like, man, why didn't I ever do that? Well, you didn't know.
Well, here's what I think people miss. I think people miss the fact, and I say this all the time because I actually love social media.
I do.
And I think what people miss is that it's a tool. It's a tool to connect with other people and to build relationships with other people. Like, one of my best friends in the world now is a guy that I've never really met in person, but he lives over in the UK. His name is Ryan Hartley, and we connected through some leadership stuff, and it's really cool. Like, I was able to kind of help be there and walk through his faith journey of coming to Christ with him over Facebook video. And we're friends, and all of these things are just tools to be able to actually connect with people and help build relationship with people. And I think when we use it for what it actually was created for, it can be an incredible platform. But I think sometimes we've allowed, Gary Vee says, make positivity louder. Right now, negativity is the loudest voice in the room. And I think we've allowed the idea of self-promotion to become what most people think about on social media. But man, when I look at it, like, yeah, there are aspects of, like, we promote our business on Facebook and on IG, and, we try to get clients there. But for the most part, man, if you connect with me on social media, most of the time I'm trying to reach out to you to learn about, hey, why did you want to connect? How come, let's have a phone conversation. Like, I send my phone number to so many people who follow me on Instagram to just see if they would want to have a phone conversation to actually truly connect. And I think when you use it like that, it can be an incredible tool. You're just not going to see me dancing on it.
I was going to ask too, like, do they take you up on that, or has that been a negative thing at all, where people are just texting you way too much or anything?
No, very seldom do I ever have anybody actually take me up on it. I've had a few, and, like, it's been some really cool connections. But for the most part, I can see that the message has been seen, but nobody ever responds.
Gotcha.
And so, but if you get that one person that actually wants to connect, and you learn that there's similarities, and, like my buddy over in England, like, we connected, and then we set up a time to talk him, over video chat on Facebook Messenger, and literally now he's one of my best friends in the world, and I've never been able to shake his hand in person.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible. Yeah. Like, it's just like his son. Yeah, his son had an issue where he was being bullied at school, and Ryan went on. Ryan Hartley, always better than yesterday. Nice little tag there. And Ryan went on and had posted this thing about his son being bullied for wearing a cross necklace.
Gotcha.
And So I called Ryan on Facebook video, and as soon as he picked up, I said, "Hey man, I need to talk to Corey," which is his 8-year-old son. And so, he gives his phone to Corey, and I said, "Hey buddy, it's your Uncle John from America. Just because Corey, I've seen him, and like, our families know who each other are." And I said, "Hey buddy, like, just know, like, you're good. Who you are is exactly who you need to be. And if you need your crazy American uncle to hop across the pond to come set some little snotty kids in England straight, like, I'll come, because we all know Americans were crazy, to the Europeans." So I was like, your crazy American uncle will come over and help set these kids straight for you.
Yeah.
And that's something Ryan talks about all the time, is like that was something for his son that meant the world, where to me, I was just frustrated that his son was being bullied,
Right.
To me, it was just a phone call. But I think social media can be a great tool when it's used the right way.
Well, I think that whole situation is kind of hitting on what Paul was talking about, like what you want social media to be, which is just the platform for showing real life. And that's like during this crazy Corona time, that's really what I want to do, is just connect with people. And to especially my musician friends in Knoxville, like, they're struggling right now, like big time struggling. There aren't ways to make money. Gigs have been canceled. And a few of them thankfully are doing like live streams, and here's my Venmo and you can give me a tip and put in a song request and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, that's just during this time, that's how I think I could help out a little bit and use social media as that kind of a platform instead of, I don't know. I mean, I've never really done anything else with social media.
Yeah. So the reason I keep looking at my phone is mine is actually blowing up. It actually has to kind of do with that. Ooh. Is that there was a rumor going around that they were going to shut food trucks down tomorrow. Now, we have shut ours down. That's just a personal decision. Right. I think I've said this 100 times. Which, there was a rumor going around that they were going to shut food trucks down on Tuesday. And now the owners group is going bananas, because I said, hey, I heard there was a rumor, but there's no actual knowledge or anything like that. Yeah. Also, I'm shut down, so I'm not really paying attention to it. And apparently they are not shutting them down. So that is the message from the Knox County Health Department currently. However, if you do live in the town of Farragut, the town of Farragut is not allowing food trucks in neighborhoods like they are the rest of Knox County.
Good for them.
So
they
think that it is.
Those are the white people who want the food truck to come and do a block party, I'm sure. Is West Knoxville white people.
I mean, it is what it is. What it is the town of Farragut has said that it is taking away from the brick and mortar restaurants that they have in town. Oh. So they don't want to do that.
Well, that sucks, actually. So are you all?
So if you live in Farragut, sorry.
Are you all going to be able to still do some kind of like service, like just selling like the packages of family meals or anything like that?
Yeah, we've talked about family meals, and we live in the Hardin Valley area, so we have plenty of neighborhoods to choose from here.
Yeah.
One of my friends, the guy that actually thought I was trolling him, they have, when they had a truck there, they had actually gone out and set 6-foot tape out so that people knew, and and honestly, it's not on the neighborhoods. I'll be flat out about that. It's about it's the operators that are involved. The operators need it. It's not the neighborhood's fault.
Yeah.
I mean,
hey,
so
real quick though, Jonathan, I know you need to hop off of here. So, is there a way that people can get in touch with you or follow you other than the social media that we've posted so far?
Yeah, you can get a hold of me. My email is jonathan@impactknoxville.com. You can hit me up there. Facebook Messenger, anything like that. Just give me a shout. My telephone number's on almost everything too, so you can reach out to me, call me.
Just feels so dangerous.
Jonathan doesn't care who calls him, man.
I generally do give
he-
mine out, but it's not like on my business card or anything. It's like I want to know who the person is before I give them this.
Jonathan gets car warranty conversation and tries to inspire them to leave
There
and
you
pursue
go.
their own. That's what he does.
I always
It
ask
happens.
them. I always ask them if I can have their home phone number and call them at home.
They called me the other day, and I was like, "Do you know what's going on in the world right now?" And they're like,
Right.
and I'm like, could you choose a better time?
Yeah. I'd be like,
Well, I appreciate you guys letting me on. It's been fun this morning.
yeah, for
It's
sure.
giving me something to look forward to.
Well, let's do it again. I know that the quarantine has been extended through the 30th, so I guess we'll probably keep doing this a little more often than we were before, which was just once a week for the 8 a.m. coffee podcast. But yeah,
Apparently,
Yep.
it's going all right.
so yeah, all right,
Nice.
all right.
All right,
We'll go
See you
ahead.
guys.
We'll go ahead and
Peace
sign off here. See ya
all right. Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
That was my best.